Large crowds of protesters have marched through the Iranian capital.
Unrest continues to grow in Iran, with street demonstrations raging in cities across the country.
We turn overseas now at another night of protests in the streets of Iran, even as the Iranian regime vows a massive crackdown.
Trey Yates in Tel Aviv. Hi, Trey.
Martha, good afternoon. Protests continue to erupt across Iran in multiple...
Hey everyone, welcome back to State Monitor, where we dive deep into global events that hit close to home. Today, we're tackling a hot topic that's buzzing across the world. What if the regime in Iran changes amid the current chaos? And more importantly, how would that shake up India? As of January 2026, Iran is in turmoil. Massive protests, internet blackouts, and a legitimacy crisis for the ruling regime. But this isn't just Middle East drama, it's got direct ripple effects on India's economy, security, and global standing. Stick around for the next few minutes as we break it down fact by fact, scenario by scenario. If you're into geopolitics, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let's jump in. First things first. Why are we even talking about a regime change? Iran in 2026 is a powder keg. Protests erupted in late December 2025 over crippling economic issues. Think skyrocketing inflation, unemployment, and a collapsing currency. What started as economic grievances has snowballed into calls for political overhaul, with demonstrators clashing against security forces in cities like Tehran and Isfahan. The regime's response: harsh crackdowns. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has labeled protesters as vandals and blamed the US for stirring the pot. There's a nationwide internet shutdown to stifle coordination, and reports of over 65 deaths and 2,300 arrests in just 2 weeks. Analysts are calling it a perfect storm of internal dissent and external pressures, including lingering US sanctions and regional tensions with Israel. Remember the 2022 protests after Mahsa Amini's death? This feels bigger, broader coalition of young people, workers, and even some insiders questioning the regime's survival. One expert predicts a big storm could trigger major upheaval, possibly even Israeli strikes adding fuel to the fire. And with the economy in freefall, poverty rates climbing and sanctions biting hard, the regime's grip is slipping. But is regime change inevitable? Not yet. Scenarios range from escalated repression to a full collapse. Some say the Islamic Republic won't survive 2026 intact. Others point to an insider-led shift, like a Venezuela-style model where opposition figures step in. External players like the US, Israel, Russia, and China are watching closely, each with their own stakes. This unrest isn't isolated. It's tied to global power plays, and that's where India comes in. India and Iran share ancient ties, think Persian influences on our culture and language. But in modern times, it's all about strategy. India and Iran marked 75 years of diplomatic relations in 2026, with talks on boosting ties despite the chaos. Key highlights: we're Iran's counterweight to Sunni powers like Pakistan, and they've been crucial for our access to Central Asia. Economically, Iran was once a top oil supplier to India until US sanctions halted imports in 2019. Now, we rely on others, but ties persist through projects like Chabahar Port, a game changer for bypassing Pakistan and linking to Afghanistan and beyond via the International North-South Transport Corridor, INSC. Iranian FM Abbas Araghchi's recent visit focused on this, showing commitment amid protests. Geopolitically, Iran helps balance Pakistan's influence in the region. They've even cooperated on security, like joint ops against Baloch militants. But with unrest, India issued travel advisories, signaling caution. So, if the regime flips, what happens to all this? Let's game this out. A regime change could mean a pro-Western government, perhaps democratic or moderate, replacing the current theocracy. But outcomes vary. Escalated crackdowns might stabilize the old guard, or collapse could lead to chaos. Now, the big question: impact on India? It's a mixed bag, some wins, but mostly risks. Economic impacts: energy security. India imports 85% of its oil, and a change could reopen Iranian supplies without sanctions. That means cheaper fuel, easing inflation and fiscal deficits. But short-term unrest could spike global prices if Straits of Hormuz close. Every $10 hike shaves 0.5% off India's GDP. A pro-US regime might prioritize Western buyers, leaving India sidelined. Trade and infrastructure. Chabahar and Insk are lifelines for $30-50 billion in potential trade. A new regime might honor deals, boosting connectivity to Europe and Central Asia. But instability could delay projects, or a US-friendly Iran might realign with Pakistan, undermining our bypass strategy. Equity markets. Short-term dips from sentiment, but no long-term hit on profits. Overall, experts say a weakened but intact regime, minus nukes, might suit India best, keeping balances without full upheaval. But a puppet government, that could make Iran zombie-like in foreign policy, dictated by the West. In summary, a regime change in Iran could mean cheaper oil and new trade ops for India, but at the cost of lost strategic depth, heightened security risks, and geopolitical headaches. It's not all doom. India's diplomacy is agile, and we're already hedging with diversified energy and stronger US ties. But this underscores a key lesson: in geopolitics, hard power rules. India must ramp up defense and economic resilience to navigate whatever comes. What do you think? Boon or bane for India? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video, and let's discuss. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Geopolitical shifts. Relations with Pakistan and Afghanistan. Current Iran keeps Pakistan on its toes with border tensions. Good for India. A pro-US regime might buddy up with Pakistan in a new anti-China alliance, reducing our leverage. Access to Afghanistan for aid and trade could suffer. China and Russia factor. Iran is a BRICS partner. Change weakens that bloc. China loses a key ally, potentially forcing Beijing to ease up on India. But a US-dominated Iran boosts American influence, pressuring India's multi-alignment strategy. Security concerns. Denuclearization is a plus, no rogue nukes nearby. But chaos could spawn groups like ISIS-Khorasan targeting India. Sunni dominance post-change might fuel jihadists against us. Diaspora safety. Millions of Indians in the Gulf could face disruptions.